Attorneys for the two men charged in Sacramento's deadliest shooting made their closing arguments.
KCRA 3 Cecil Hannibal joins us live outside the courthouse with more on what happened in court today. Cecil.
We heard closing arguments from both the prosecution and the defense attorneys for both Payton and DeAndre Martin. Now, guys, you have to remember this has been a lengthy trial that has lasted over 2 months. So this was a chance for both sides to speak directly to the jury, remind them of all the witness testimony and evidence that they have heard and seen during this trial. Now, each side is painting a different narrative of what happened the night K Street turned into a war zone. The prosecution painted a narrative that this was a targeted and a gang-motivated attack, while defense attorneys are arguing that their clients were simply enjoying the nightlife of K Street when gunfire erupted and saying their clients acted in self-defense. Now, I'm going to go through what, each in order that they went today. So I'm going to start with the prosecution first. So prosecutors essentially laid out their case saying that, that each defendant should be held responsible for the deaths of 3 innocent women. Now, for DeAndre Martin, the prosecution pointed to a social media video showing Martin and his associates on Traction Avenue in what they called taunting rival gang members before going to K Street, also saying he was seen on video firing a weapon, but that weapon, I should point out, has not been recovered. They claim that he dumped that weapon. Now, for Payton, prosecutors highlighted his admitted history as a gang member and the fact that he's seen on video firing his weapon 18 times.
That fails because they were involved in mutual combat. That fails because they weren't acting out of fear alone. That fails because their intention that night and their mindset was fueled by anger and gang expectations. What happened out there was the opposite of self-defense. They had to settle a score, a gang score, and because of that, through their joint, conspiratorial, and deadly actions, these men are responsible for the murder of Yamile, John Taya, and Melinda.
Now, the defense attorney for Payton laid out a different narrative of the events from that night, claiming the video evidence shows his client gathering outside of the nightclub with friends before an altercation that his client did not instigate, also arguing that his client is a known gang member but did not have any conflict with any of the parties involved that night, rather claiming his client fired out of fear and tried to convince the jury that this was self-defense.
This is not an aiding and abetting case. It's not a conspiracy case either. It's not a conspiracy, this huddle up, right? There's been no evidence. You haven't seen phone records showing a conspiracy, right? You haven't seen wiretaps, or we're trying to put together some type of a, conspiracy argument that these guys engaged in a conspiracy. This is about whether the state has proved beyond a reasonable doubt the mental state of one man, my client, and Payton, and they have not done that.
DeAndre Martin's defense attorney shared a similar narrative, trying to convince the jury that her client also feared for his life. And she also attempted to poke holes in the prosecution's social media video that they used as evidence of Martin on Traction Avenue before that shooting. Now, one name that was continuously mentioned throughout this trial and multiple times today, the name Sergio Harris was one of the men involved in the shootout who died that night. So both defense attorneys claim that Harris is the one that fired that first shot. DeAndre Martin's attorney argued that Harris fired shots that killed one of Martin's friends and injured DeAndre Martin and his brother Smiley Martin, arguing that the person who started the shooting is liable, and she claims that is not her client.
It was chaos. There was gunfire coming from all directions, from north to south, south to north, east to west, west to east. Gunfire in all directions. And what's important about that is it defeats the prosecution's theory that this was some standoff, some gang rivalry, gang rivals shooting at one another.
Now, what is important to note from both of the defendants are facing murder and weapons charges. Now, both defense attorneys admitted that their clients are guilty of weapons charges in terms of that they are felons that were in possession of firearms. But they made that point and essentially told the jury that does not mean that they did not act in self-defense that night. So that's the narrative that each defense attorney is trying to get across to the jury. Now, DeAndre Martin's attorney did not finish her closing argument, so that will pick up tomorrow morning. And then once she is done, jury deliberations will begin in a trial that has lasted, like I said, over 2 months now in one of the deadliest shootings in the history of the capital city. Live in Sacramento, Cecil Hannibal, KCRA 3 News.
Yeah, the jury has their work cut out for them. Cecil, thank you.